because this is backend. It's not a session where we just uh, join, watch, and leave. You need to get a grip, understanding, and also practice at the same time. So please, Lindway, if you have
So I'm already sharing my screen.
oh yes, yes, can everybody see his screen?
Yes, open your this thing on the browser. Open it on the live server. Let's see what you have. All right. Let's see your favorite website. All right. You can stop sharing. Do we still have any other person that wants to share? We'll be taking two more, and then we'll start our class for today.
Does anybody want to share the screen? Okay, Lindway is presenting. Okay, thank you everyone, and I believe for those that were able to present their assignment, great job, and for those that have done it and are not able to present, great job as well. So if you have difficulties, please always reach out to us, drop a message on the Slack channel. So one last chance, if you still want to present, please let us know before Mr. Michael gets into the business of today. Okay, so nobody's presenting. Mr. Michael, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Before we proceed again, does anyone have any question regarding what we did in the last class? Okay, I guess we are all fine. So today we'll be doing two things. We'll be doing CSS, and I'll be taking us on Git and GitHub. Yes, CSS and Git and with Git and GitHub. Yes, so I'll try as much as possible to use this time frame we have. I think we still have about 1 hour 30 minutes. All right. Okay. Please confirm if you can see my screen. All right. So today, like I said, we'll be doing CSS. In our last class, we did JavaScript. I'm sorry, we did HTML, and these are the things we covered. Let me open this on my live environment. Sorry, on my local server. The live server rather. So in our last class, we did HTML and we were able to handle some tags. Sorry, some tags, just like Mr. Samuel refreshed us with. So today we'll be proceeding with CSS. And what is CSS? Like I explained in our last class, HTML is like the skeleton of your website, right? And when I say the skeleton of your website, it means if we remove the styling, which is the color, the size, the position, and every other thing, and we remove the functionalities of the website, this text, this image that we are seeing, will be the skeleton of our website. It will be the skeleton of our website. So today we'll be moving to CSS. And what is CSS? CSS is the full meaning of CSS is Cascading Style Sheet. And it is used to, yes, Olamide, you can present after the class. And it is used to style our HTML page. So let me start by, let's dive into our VS Code, and then we'll start by adding our first CSS style. And how do we do that? We'll come to our head tag and we'll add our style tag, our HTML tag, or we can call it style element. And then inside this tag, I can say my body is, let me see, background color should be red. right? Coming back to this page, my background color is already red. So what I did here is I created my my style elements inside the HTML head, and then I added my selector. This is my selector, and this is the HTML. This should be red, and added my my CSS code. So in CSS, this is what the syntax looks like. We have the selector, we have the declaration, we have the declaration here. This is the declaration and another declaration. So in every declaration, we have the property and we have the value. So here, this is our selector, the body is our selector, and we are telling this tag that anywhere you see this body tag, you should apply this tag to it. Anywhere you come across this body tag, you should apply this tag to it. I can add more than one star. I can say the color. I've added background color. I can say color should be green. Now all the text on my page are now green. That's not looking so good. Let's just change this to, I think, white. Yes. So all the text here are green, are white. Let me do something around amber. I think amber should work. Okay. Let's just return this to white, and then let's say this should be black. All right. So again, this is our HTML, our selector, our CSS selector, and then these are the declarations. So like I said, every declaration is having the attributes and the value. So in this case, you are saying these attributes, the background color attributes of this body, of this element, and which element is that? This guy. This is our body element. The background color of our body element should be white. The color, which should be the fore color, the text color, should be black. Again, we can create another declaration here. We can create another declaration here for we have H1 to H6. I can say H4 and then say this is our H4. I can change the color. I'll say color should be, let's say, blue. And then if I come here, I'll see that my H4 is already changing to blue. So what this thing will do is to apply this tag to every element that has this selector. Are you getting me? So if I have more than one H4, let me copy another one, and then let me say second header 4. If I come here, you can see I now have two guys with this color because they are both H4, and I'm telling this guy that anywhere you see H4, you should use color blue. You should apply this attribute, which is color blue. The color is the attribute, and the blue is the value. And the blue is the value. Let's change it to something around this. And then our color is changing already. So like I said, the CSS syntax is, I think I opened one page now. All right, the CSS syntax is the selector first, and then the curly braces. The selector first, let's do something. The selector first, and then we have curly braces. These guys are called curly braces. This one. We have curly braces. Then inside our curly braces, I can now say, let me just copy this guy. And if you notice this very well, you notice there's there's like a semicolon here. This is to specify that this declaration ends here. Any other thing you see after this semicolon is for another declaration. So it means this is one line and this is another line. So if you check this, you see that our text color and the size is already changing. The color is blue and the font size is 12. Let me try changing this to 20 pixel, and I have it bigger now, so you can see it very well. So I was talking about selector. What I did here was selecting the body tag, and here was selecting the H tag. Here was selecting the P tag, which is our P tag we have here. In CSS, we have 3 types of selector. I don't think there are more than 3. Yes, there are more than 3, but primarily we have 3 types. I think we'll be covering more than 3, but we have the simple selector. The simple selectors. Those selectors are where you can select by the element name, the ID of the class. So what we did here is selecting with the element name. This is element body, and we are selecting with the body. Element is H4, and we are selecting with H4. Element is P, and we are selecting, element here is P, and we are selecting with P. So that is selecting with the element name, right? If you want to select with the ID, you can say this particular, okay, now I have 2 H4 here, right? I can give one of this H4, I can say the ID, which is the attribute. I can say the ID attribute should be my first H4 header, right? And if you want to select with an ID, if you want to use the ID selector in CSS, you'll have to use this hash and then followed by your ID, which is the first H4 header. We add a column. So what I have here, this is the selector. This is an ID selector. ID selector. That is our ID selector. I can now say, what do we have here? I can now say the font family should be I think font family is too serious here. We can say text align should be center. Text align should be center. So which means it should align the text of this guy to the center. It should align the text of this H4 to the center. It should align the text of this H4 to the center, just like we have it here. And you have to take note that ID selector should only be used for one element. If you want to select more than one element to apply your style or to apply your logic, you should use the class selector. Just like in, okay, let's do it this way. Just like in Dive, we have this backend bootcamp. Everyone here will be given a class, and the class is backend bootcamp. Those in the front end own will be in front end bootcamp, right? That means we can have multiple people in a class, but multiple people cannot use one ID. I'm sure everyone is getting me. If you are getting me, you can use the emoji. All right, so we've done the ID selector. Now we want to do the class selector. So I can come here and say, okay, I can say I want to add the class of, this one is big and this one is slightly big, right? We can say I want to add the class. We use the class attributes. I want to add the class of big header. And this one too should have the class of big header. Right. So we can come here and say, and use our CSS set, our class selector rather, our class selector, which is, if you want to use this class selector in CSS, you use dot class name, which is big header. So what style can we apply to this? We can apply border. We can apply border. We can say border should be 1 pixel. If I'm correct, 1 pixel solid. Yeah. Okay, we can say border width should be 1 pixel. Border color should be black, and then the border style should be solid. So you can see this big header now, they have the border, which is, it is solid, it is black, and it is 1 pixel. If I change this to 2 pixel, or let me use something like 4 pixel to make it very obvious, you can see it is more thicker now. If I change this to dotted, you see it is now dotted. If I change it to dashed, you see it is now dashed. If I change this color to let's pick a random color. Let's pick this guy. Okay, not so obvious. Let's pick obvious too. Let's just use this crimson. All right. Let's add the background color of yes. So you can see our declarations are being applied to the elements that has this class. And it is not only these elements that can have it. It is not only the headers that can have this big header class. I can come to my button and add the class of big header. Yeah, so if you notice, the button here is already having those attributes. That's the border, the background color, and the background style. So, and the border style rather. All right. So, like I was saying in our last class, this class is a backend class. So we'll just be touching the basic of these guys. So that'll be all we'll be doing with these CSS selectors. Let's just check some other attributes. Let's just check some other attributes. Let's talk about colors. So let me just say I want to style my H3 element, and then I can say the background color should be orange. Now we have orange. So let's use tomato. We have tomato. Let's use can use violet, and we can use light gray. Right. So again, this is not a front-end class, but we can just touch the basic. So aside from providing the name of the color like this, you can provide like a mixture of color. And how do you do that? We have you can provide an RGB based value. RGB based. And what is RGB? The R in RGB is red. The G in RGB is green. The G is green. And the B is blue. The B in RGB is blue. So if we come back here and say the color we want to give this guy is RGB, the minimum value for this guy is 0. That's the for all these guys, this is RGB, and this first one represents red, second one represents green, and the third one represents blue. So the minimum value for these guys are 0, 0, 0. So when they are 0, you can see my VS Code is already showing me. When the values are 0, that means black. So that means there is no color. You can see the background color is already changing to black. And then the maximum value for these guys are 255. So if the three of them are 255, that's white. Yes, that is right. You can see the color is already the same with the background color of our page. So if I remove the let me remove green and change it to 0. So me putting 0 means I have full red, no green, and full blue. So if I come here, I have something like this. If I remove my blue, I have only red, and I should be seeing only red here. If I remove my red and put only green, 255, I should be seeing 255 green here. If I put 100, let me see what we have. We still have green, but it is now darker. And then if I now remove this and put my blue, 255, we have blue. And if I change this to 100, to be more darker. So that is what we have with colors. And you can apply this color not only to background color, you can apply it to colors attribute too. So as we have white as the fore color, let me just change this to black as the background color. I'll change the background color to black. Yes, and then the text color is already white, according to what we have there. If I comment this out, you see the text color will be the same with the background color, and you won't be able to see it, right? So let me return back the color. We have RGB. The red is 255, green is 255, and the blue is 255. So yes. All right. So we already talked about background. We have the background color. We've talked about the background color. We are supposed to do background image, but like I said, this is not a front-end class. We've talked about border. Okay, so let's do something. This is our p tag. Okay. You know what we'll do? Let's add an additional paragraph here. And now we have 2 paragraphs. So I can add the class name and say border, or just say border. So any element that has this class name. All right, Daniel, you want to ask something?
Anyway, I am Lee. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think we're having issues with your screen. Kindly stop sharing and share. It's frozen at a just please stop sharing and reshare so we can follow up. Thank you.
All right. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So I added a new paragraph here in addition with the one we already had. So I'm adding a CSS class. I'm adding a class which is border. So what am I doing? I'm saying any elements with this class should have a border width of 1 pixel, border color of black, border style should be solid. Border style should be solid. Right. So if I come here and if I come down here and say I'm adding a class of border to this guy, I can't see my border. All right, so this should be solid, not solid. Solid. Okay. So I'm adding the same attribute, which is the class attribute, and then I'm saying it should have a class name of border. So they now have border, right? So I can now create another class and say rounded border, which will introduce us to our border radius attributes. We'd say 10 pixel, but border radius will receive value of pixels or value of size. Yes. So what this border radius does is that it gives our container any element you are giving this class or this CSS style will have a curved border. So I have rounded border here. I can come to this place and say rounded border. Now you can see I'm applying more than one class to an element. Why? Because I can be in SS3. I'm coming. Let's just look for an element. We can say someone named button and be in SS3 and be a science student, right? And another person named, let's say, include can be in SS3 and be an art student. I hope we are. I hope I'm communicating. So this guy is having a border and it is having a rounded border, right? Now I want to add padding. So padding is the gap between your content. That's the content of the container and the border. So let's just say there's padding. Anywhere you see this attribute, anywhere you see this, any element using this class should have a padding of 10 pixel. So if I come here and say padding, I can see I have padding here. Come in here and say padding 2. I can see this is now, you can now see space around this guy. Let me increase the padding to something around 20 pixel, and then you can see the gap is now more than what we used to have. Let me add padding here. Add padding here to padding. All right. Let me add to H3 too. Class name is padding. So this H3 doesn't have any class before. We are just adding padding. Okay. Right. So when you're adding border to an element, you can add borders to you can decide to add border to maybe only the top, only the bottom, only the right, only only the left. Let me do something. Let me add another class that say border left only. Border left only. So what this will do is it will overwrite the border will be set here. You can see border is 1 pixel, is 0 pixel rather, and then we can now see border left is 1 pixel. So it will remove the border for every other every let me just show you. So I have border left only. If I add it to this guy, comment. So this should be border width, and then this should be border left width. Yes, you can see we now have the border at the left side of the element. So if I if I comment out this guy, I have border width is 0 pixel, which means I'm overriding this border width I have at the top of this page. Yes, yes, I'm overriding, which means I'm setting the border width to 0 pixel. It means I won't be seeing the border. Let me just change this to 5 pixel. It will override what I already have here. And then giving it 0 pixel means I don't want to see the border. Adding border left 1 pixel means I don't want to see the borders, but I want to see 1 pixel for left on the left side of the element. And I'm already seeing that here. And this border radius you are seeing here is the one we added here. This curve border, this one. So let me just increase this to 20. So you can see it is more obvious now. And then I can now say I want to make this guy, let's say 2. Let's say 8 pixel or 6 pixel. Yes, this is too much. So let's say we want to add background color to this guy. So let's say we want to add background color of muted of let's say gray, PG gray, and then we can now say background color should be gray. So let me add background color to this paragraph again, PG gray, and then we have this. It's not looking so well, so we can just edit it a bit and add something around here. Okay, I think this is better. Again, you can decide to, you can play around with the border attributes. I mean, with the CSS attributes, we can decide to add border radius to only the top. You can say border right radius. If you say border right radius, okay, this is border top right. So if you say border top right radius, it will add the border radius to the top right, which is here. So let me change this to 50 pixel. You can see this top right is having more border than the rest. I can say the border bottom left should be 50 pixel as well. And we have something like this. Are we still connected? All right, so we talked about padding. Now, padding is the gap between the content of your element and the border. Now we'll be talking about margin. So I added padding here. Let me add margin. Margin, margin is what? Sorry, is, let's say margin is 20 is 20 pixel. Right, so we can add margin to this one, this first paragraph, or not even the first paragraph. Let's add this to this H1 and say margin. Now you can see we have gap before the border. Before the border and not after the border. We have margin before the border and padding is after the border. Padding is after the border and margin is before the border. And I can decide to say, okay, after adding my margin, I want to add margin left should be 100 pixels, which means every other place should have 20 pixels, but left side of this page should have 100 pixels. I can as well say margin right should have 100 pixels. I can decide today, say my margin bottom should have 100 pixels. I hope I'm communicating with someone. All right, let's talk about, let me just remove this padding margin rather. We have that. So we have the height and width attributes. So let me just call it sizing. And then let me say again, this is our H1. I can say sizing. Right. So what are the attributes our sizing we have? I can say the height should be 200 pixels. You can see the height is now becoming more. I can say the width should be 200 pixels as well. I can see we now have a square. Yes, if I change this to the 400, it is now becoming a rectangle. If I say border radius, let me add border radius, or let me just add rounded border to this thing. You can see what we have now. And if I now say I want this width should be 100% of this page. That's 100% of the page. Yes, it is now 100% of our screen. The margin I added to it is making it overflow. So I can either remove my margin or say this should be 100 viewport width. It means it shouldn't take more than the width of my screen. So there appears to be an issue with this thing. Okay. Okay. I see. Should be 0 pixel. Anyways, if I say my width should be 100 pixels, it will use the width of my screen, right? If I now say my maximum width, that no matter how big this thing is, it shouldn't be more than 200 pixels. I'll be having this. Let's increase this to something around 800. I'll be having this, and then the height too. If I say the height should be 1000 pixels, and then I'm coming to say, okay, I said the height should be 1000 pixels, but don't let the height be more than 100 pixels. The maximum is 100 pixels. So we have this. Let's say I'm saying the height should be 100 viewport height. That's the height of my screen. And I'm adding maximum height. That means this height won't work again. It will be using this one. If this height is smaller, it will be using this one. But if it is more, it will use the maximum. So let me just comment out the maximum and see. You can see I'm already having a full element on my screen, right? So if I add the maximum height, I'll be having this height here. So let's say this height, let's assume this height is just 20 pixels, which is not up to the maximum height. It will be using the minimum height, the smallest height. And then if it is more than 100 pixels, let's say 120 pixels, it will be using the 100 pixels that we specified. All right, so let's talk about texts. Text. So we have p tag. We have our p tag. I can say custom text, which would be our class name. Or let me just make it an ID. ID is custom text. And then in our ID selectors here, I can say custom text. So what are the things I want in our custom text? I can say text align should be center. Okay, I'm supposed to add that to this first one, not the second one. So let me remove it. Let me remove it from here. I'll be adding it here. All right, so text align is now center. If I say text balance, text balance. Okay, let me say text decoration should be underlined. It is now underlined. Text transformation should be uppercase. We now have uppercase text. Okay, let's see other text attributes we have. Okay, text decoration color. So we have a text decoration of underline, and text decoration color will be the color we want to give our underline. So we can say red. Yes. Can say red. Can say our text color. So by default, the text color will be the color of that. It will be this color attribute, which I'll be putting green here. So if we now specify our text color, it will override the color it is using by default. And then we can say text colors to work. Okay, I can't find text color, so I think it is depreciated. Okay, so again, we can work with fonts. Let me just say that custom fonts. And then this is our class again. This is our guy. I'll say custom fonts. And then in the custom fonts, what are we doing? We can say our font family. Let's say our font size first. First, font size should be, we can use size and we can use this text. We can say it should be larger. Large. Let's just use our pixel. Let's say this should be 100 pixel. That's too much. Let's say 20 pixel. Yes, or let's say 24 pixels. Very good. You can say our font weight should be bold. Bolder. Yes, we can say our font family should be, let's just pick one of these fonts. Say yes. So what this means is that it should use Arial, right? So if Arial font is not on the personal system, the browser should use Helvetica. And then if the Helvetica font suite is not available, it should use any other sans serif fonts that you can see in the system. So these are like fallback fonts. Arial first. If you can't find Arial, use Helvetica. If you can't find Helvetica, use any other sans serif font. So this Arial and Helvetica are sans serif fonts, but we prioritize this one more. I really want Arial, and if you can't find Arial, maybe if this font is not on the user's browser, you can use Helvetica, and if you can't find Helvetica, just use any other sans serif font that you can find. So let me just add Memento here. I have Memento, I'm not sure. Yes, I don't have it. And then we can change this. We can use something around all these serif fonts. I think there's Times Roman. Yes. So use Times New Roman. If you can't find that, use Times. And if you can't find Times, use any other serif fonts. Again, let's use monospace. Try this font. I can't pronounce the name. This should be Korean name. If you can't find it, use Korea. And if you can't find it, use any other monospace font. So this is what it will look like. I hope I'm still communicating. All right. So like I said, sorry for the distractions. Like I said, this is a front-end class. We won't be doing, sorry, this is a backend class. We won't be doing so much of front end. I don't want to be boring you with all the CSS styles. All right, so we did unordered list and ordered list on our last class. So today we'll be doing something around styling it. So the first thing I want us to do is to combine selectors. Combine selectors, which is in a UL element. UL elements, we have UL elements here, and we have list items inside it. So I'll say for the this is a combined selector. I'm selecting list items which are children for this UL. So if you hover on this thing, you see that my VS Code is already showing me how the HTML is supposed to be, which is to have the UL first, and inside the UL, I'll have my list item. This UL means unordered lists, if you, for those that are not in our last class. And then this list, LI is our list items. So I'm saying for the list items inside LI, I want to add a style that says list style type should be, I think the default we have is circle. Okay. And then if I change this to Dix, okay, Dix is the default. If I change this to square, and then I can see square. Let me try saying this style position should be outside or inside. I don't know. Let me add that to it so we can see what we are doing here. But I want pixel solid and yeah, I want pixel black and solid. So this thing I did here is combination. So this one pixel is the size, I mean the width, and then this black is the color, this solid is the style. So saying our list type position should be inside means it will be inside the border. And then if I change it to outside, it will be outside the border. Let me say each of them should add a margin bottom of 5 pixels, right? And then they should have a font size of 16 pixels. 20 pixels. Yes, so 16 pixel works well. 16 pixel works well. I can say padding. All right, so for padding, I can say the top should be 10 pixel, right should be 10 pixel, bottom should be 10 pixel, and the left should be 10 pixel. So doing this means this is top, right, bottom, and left. So if I change this to, if I change this left, if I change this right, now let me change left. If I change the left to 50 pixel, you can say I have 50 pixel here. If I change the bottom to 40 pixel, you can see I have 40 pixel at the bottom. So one other thing I can do is to combine the top, bottom, right, and left. So the top and bottom should have 10 pixels, and the left and right should have 20 pixels. Now let me increase this to 100 pixels so you can, oh yeah, 100 pixels so you can see. Then let me increase this to 40 pixels so we can see. Yes. So top is 40 pixels, bottom is 40 pixels, left is 40 pixels, and the right should be 40 pixels as well. So I'll be commenting out this padding. Or let me just change it to 10 pixels and 70 pixels. Yes. Can everyone hear me? All right, nice. Okay, so we talked about table the last class. In our last class, we had a table. Now we want to style this our table. And how do we style it? We can come here and say for our table element, we want it to have borders. Okay. So what I did here the other time was selecting list item inside UL. One other thing I can do is to select table, comma table head, and then table data. So that means table should have these styles, table head should have these styles, and table data should have this style. So this is different from the chart selector. This is the chart selector. Right. So this is quite different from the chart selector. This one will be selecting the chart, and this one will be applying the style to all of them. Right. So what do I want to do? I want to add border. Let's say 1 pixel and solid. You can see my VS Code is already styling this thing for me. I want to this way, maybe not best. Okay, so you can see we now have borders here. Let me add padding. Padding should be 5 pixel. Right. Yes. 5 pixel at the top and bottom, and 10 pixel at the let's just say 5 pixels. 5 pixels are okay. And then we can say our table should have a width of 100%. So having a width of 100% means it will take the whole width available, the full width available, and this is it. You can see it's already taking the full width of the page. And then here we can say all of them should have a text align of center, right? Then we want the table edge, table edge. This is a chart selector. We want it to have a background color. We want it to have a background color, something around, let's use this. Yes, and then it should have a color or text color. Okay, text color is appreciated. So color should be white. That is, oh, this is fine. Let's just make it black. Let's make it green. Let's make this one green and let's make the color white. All right. So one other thing I want us to do is to add border collapse to this table. So you can see the way the border is showing is like it is separated. So if I come to my table class, table selector, and say border collapse should collapse, you can see the border is now combined together. The border is now combined together. So that is that we'll be doing with table. With table. Does anyone have any question yet? I believe we are still connected. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's do something. This our picture. This our picture. Let's design it. Let's say the picture, which is our img, should have an height of 200 pixels. Yes, it should have a width of 200 pixels. Okay. Yes, and then we want to add a border radius of 200 pixels. You can see what we have. We have this round image. Let me add the border, or let me add shadow. 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 Box shadow. Yes. Should be um, box shadow. System value. Not sure. All right, let me just add border. Border should be, let's say, 1 pixel solid. Foreground. Let's add cyan. And see our border is looking too light. Maybe we should work well. Then we can change this to 4 pixel. So we have our image here. And then let's style this our button. This one sitting here. Let's style it. And every other button we have. And see this button should not have a border. Border should be none. I think outline so okay, border should be 0 pixels. So think of this guy is not a button, rather it's an input field. It's an input field. So let's say our input should have, okay, we've removed the border. Let's just use a button. Let's add a button here. And say click link. Something we have, okay, we have one button here. All right, so let me bring this somewhere here, somewhere close. All right, so our click me is here. I can say our padding should be the top, bottom should be 10 pixels, the right, left, and right should be 25 pixels. Right. I can say the font family should be Arial and vertical. I don't even like Arial, so let me just go for vertical. Right. We can add the background color to be here for the best color to add. Forest green. And then our color, which is our text color, should be white. Should be white. Yes, and then we can add the border radius of 10 pixels. That's too much. Let's change it to 5 pixels. All right, so now we have, let's increase our font size. Font size should be 20 pixels. That seems too much. Let's use 18 pixels, and this is too moderate. Let's increase this to 30 pixels and this to 10 pixels. I believe everyone can still hear me. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, so one other thing I want to do is to add a Basilio event to this guy, to this button, which means when I over, this is how to select over. When I over on this thing, and what does over mean? Taking my button to the top of this button. Sorry, yeah, taking my cursor to the front of to the top of this button. That's over. So I can say when I over, I want the size. Let's say by the our normal size should be 16. I want the size to be I want the font size to be 18 pixels. Right. So when I over, you can see the size is increasing when the button is there. I can see the background color. The background color should be so I used forest green here. I want to use something very, very similar to that. So this. So when I over, you can see the color is now changing and the size of the text is now changing as well. So this is, I believe this is all we'll be doing for CSS. Just for us to understand what is happening in the front end side of web development. Does anyone have any question?
Thank you very much, Amide, for that beautiful insight and session. So, please, if you have questions, please signify so we can grant you access to unmute your mic and speak. You can also drop a text on the chat box. Okay, Anna Daniel, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. Please, I want to know, will the code be available for us so we can look at it and learn more? Because we can't code as we are coding like this. Like, it's quite fast. So that's just what I want to ask.
Okay, thank you for that question. But before Mr. Michael answer the question, I'd just like to chip in that. So after the session, the class recording will be shared in after every class session. Recordings will be dropped in Slack channel. So please do it to rewatch this session. You can pause and play and try to understand better. However, for the availability of the code, Michael, please, Mr. Michael, what's please give an answer to that.
All right. So yes, the source code will be available. It will be available for us. Mr. Samuel, I'll still be taking us GitHub this evening. GitHub this evening. So you can make things very fast. I think we should just start with GitHub by 8:40. So in like 10-15 minutes, we should be done with that. So the source code will be hosted on GitHub for everyone to access.
Oh, great, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. So any other questions, please, if you have questions, please raise up your hand or signify so we can, once you ask us to mute your mic and speak. So I believe everyone, in absence of no question, I believe everyone here understands what we'll be doing so far. Please signify if you can hear me. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, Steven, are you raising up your hand, or are you raising up your hand? If yes, unmute your mic and ask a question. Steven, are you having difficulties? Just unmute your mic and speak. Okay, so I think Stephen is having difficulties in connecting also. Oh, okay, okay. So for me personally, I feel pumped and I feel like I'm going to build the next Facebook. I don't know about you, but um, this is a wonderful presentation by by I am Media Michael. So guys, watch out! I'm building the next Facebook. Well, so we'll be moving on to GitHub. So Mr. Michael says, and 8:40 we begin GitHub. So in absence of no question, can somebody give us a bit of recap of what we've learned today? I believe we've been taking notes, and also we might not be able to like practice along, but at least you should be able to and you might not be able to code along as while it's going live in session. However, I believe you guys have been taking notes. So, and since no question has been asked, please, I need at least 3 persons to, give a summary of what we've learned today. I mean, for past an hour. So please unmute your mic and speak. For me, if I can say yes, I've been able to learn about CSS, the selector, and go all and all. But it's not just me in this session. I believe everybody here is learning. So we have one person raising their hands up. Nkwera G. Luke. Please unmute your mic and speak. Then Damilari Ajitumobi, we go next.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening, Luke. I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So today we've been able to learn something about CSS, the selectors in CSS. So basically, CSS helps us to style and beautify our web page. It adds color and beauty to our web page, and HTML is just the structure, while CSS adds beauty to it. And we've looked at the different selectors, ID selectors, and the class selectors. We've been able to see some of the attributes of um, the CSS, talking about margin, background color, borderline, height, and width, and how to apply them basically. That's what we've been able to learn today.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you so much. That shows that you've been taking notes and you got a getting grip and with understanding about what you're being taught. So Damilari Ajitumobi, please unmute your mic and speak.
So what I've learned so far is how to use CSS in designing our website. So meaning of CSS is cascading style sheets, while HTML is hypertext markup language. So HTML is the structure of the website, while CSS is the design of the website. For example, like a building is the structure, the design in the building, like the colors in the building is like that's what the CSS do. Like I've learned how to use the CSS attributes and selector, like font size for the to increase the size of the text, font family to like give your text a like a text design, and how to use color, border width, border, how to use. I've still learned a lot so far.
Great. So that's good. That's great. Um, so basically, um, this is for backend. You need to have. Okay, I can see Luke raising your hand up. So one moment, please, before you unmute your mic. Um, so for you to understand backend, you need to understand the basic of how the front end works, right? So whenever you click the button, the submit button, while filling your form, what happens? So the designing of the button and the interface is basically the front end. Then what happens after you've clicked the button? What happens to the data? Where those informations go to? Whenever you log in your details, it brings out your details, your profile, not somebody else's profile. These are like the work of backend. So while we're running through these phases, basically for us to understand how the front end work, so we get a grip of how the backend works. So, Luke, I saw you raising your hand, so please unmute your mic. So, speak.
No, sorry, that was a mistake. I didn't raise it down after I finished speaking the first time.
Oh, okay, all right, no
Okay.
problem. So, this is an interactive class. We want everybody. In fact, we need everybody to be active. You don't have to be um um. Okay, Oladimeji Adegboyega. Okay, please unmute your mic and speak. Oladimeji, please unmute your mic.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Hope everybody can hear me.
Positive. We can hear you loud and clear.
So, like Daniel said, while HTML is the hypertext markup language, I see it as a content manager, something we use to add content to our page, to the web page. So either each one is going to contain a content, a heading or paragraph is still going to contain a content. So HTML is the content manager, is what we use to add content to our web page. Then the cascading style sheet CSS we use to style that content we've added to the web page. So either to give it a background color, give it a color border, or even decide where to put these contents at different positions in our web page. So That's what the CSS is for. Then you can go further and do more in-depth styling of, okay, picking each element either by selecting them by their classes or through their ID, specifically changing their colors and borders like that. Then picking we went as far, so back to this section now. So we went as far as styling the tables, paragraphs, the headings, and what else? Buttons. Yes, then how to add transitions to this button, meaning when you over a button, what should happen to these elements like that. So that's all.
Wow. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. In fact, everybody needs to get that thumbs up. So, thank you very much. So we'll be moving on to the second phase of this backend engineering